Tonight, we are in A-League Women for Central Coast Mariners against Wellington Phoenix, and this is a very interesting one for bettors, because the raw model and the football story are pointing in the same direction at first glance, but not without tension underneath. Let's start with the numbers. My model gives Central Coast Mariners 0.87 expected goals and Wellington Phoenix 2.13. That translates into a home win probability of 14.3%, a draw at 19.5%, and an away win at 66.1%. The top projected scorelines are 0-2, then 0-1, and then 1-2. So the headline is simple. The Knicks are clear favorites. This is not a soft edge. This is a strong away side projection. And when we zoom out, the broader rating tables support that view. On the power index, Wellington Phoenix sit at the top of the league. Central Coast are down in 6th. On the form index, Wellington are 2nd, while the Mariners are 7th. So both the long-term strength profile and the shorter-term trend line lean toward the visitors. From a pure model perspective, this is Wellington first, draw 2nd, and Central Coast a distant 3rd. But this match is not just about numbers. It gets more complicated when we move into the qualitative side, because for all of Wellington's strength this season, Central Coast have become a very awkward opponent for them. The Mariners have had a real edge in this matchup. They have repeatedly found ways to frustrate Wellington, and that matters. At some point, repeated results stop being random and start becoming part of the mental landscape of the fixture. That is the first warning for bettors. The second warning is squad context. Wellington still look like the stronger team overall, but they are not arriving in a perfect state. Injuries have taken pieces out of the structure, especially in areas that affect fluency, rotation, and attacking depth. So even though the Knicks remain the better side, they are not arriving with maximum comfort. That matters in a match where the opponent already believes it can bother you. Now let's flip to the Mariners. Central Coast are not coming into this game with dominant numbers, but they are still live in one very specific way. They know how to make this fixture ugly. They know how to shrink space, break rhythm, and force Wellington into a more uncomfortable script. And for a betting audience, that is important, because the cleanest path for an underdog is rarely to outplay the better side. It is to distort the game. If Central Coast get anything here, it probably comes from turning the match into a grind. That said, Wellington still carry the sharper weapons. They have the better attacking ceiling, the better overall profile, and the stronger season identity. The Knicks are not just surviving matches. At their best, they control them. And even with absences, they still have the kind of quality that can break a game open if Central Coast sit too deep or lose defensive concentration for even 10 minutes. That is why the model is so strong on the away side. It sees a class gap. It sees an attacking gap. And it sees Wellington creating far more danger over 90 minutes. Now let's talk betting angles. Over 2.5 goals is live but not screaming. At 57.6%, the model gives it a positive lean, but not an all-in profile. That makes sense when you look at the likely match shape. If Wellington impose themselves early, this can turn into a controlled 0-2 type of away win. If Central Coast keep the game compact for long enough, the match could stay under pressure and force bettors to sweat. So the total is playable, but the stronger read is still the side. The main side angle is Wellington to win. That is the cleanest expression of the model. The more aggressive angle would be Wellington to win with a lower scoring game script attached, because the scoreline cluster is led by 0-2 and 0-1 rather than something wild like 2-3 or 1-4. That is a subtle but important distinction. This is not just Wellington favored, it is Wellington favored in a way that still suggests control. From the Central Coast side, the betting case is thinner. If you are trying to build a contrarian argument, it has to start with matchup psychology. It has to start with the Mariners being a difficult stylistic opponent for the Knicks, and it has to assume Wellington's absences reduce their margin for error enough to let the home side drag this into a nervy contest. That is not impossible. It is just not the primary read. So when I put everything together, this is the final picture. Wellington Phoenix have the stronger model. They have the stronger power profile. They have the stronger recent form. Central Coast still carry historical discomfort value in this fixture, and that keeps the upset narrative alive more than the raw percentages would suggest. But if you strip away the noise, the Knicks remain the right side. For me, the best starting point is Wellington Phoenix to win. If you want to score lean, 0-2 is the sharpest call. If you want a slightly safer narrative, Wellington win and under 4.5 goals fits the overall texture of the matchup. That is the read for Central Coast Mariners against Wellington Phoenix. If you want more model-driven previews like this, subscribe to the channel. I cover power rankings, form, XG projections, and betting angles every round. See you in the next one.